What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Steven Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel, the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. Hey, guys, I just want to caution you today's topic is for some of you, maybe a film segment you've already had the privilege of watching. But what I'm doing, guys, is I'm going to follow the Gary Vaynerchuk, the Gary V method of how he breaks down his longer segments into shorter segments. If you watch other YouTube channels like Joe Rogan and H3H3 Podcast, they all kind of subscribe and follow that Gary V method of taking a longer form content and breaking it down into several small pieces and then pushing all those pieces out across several social media platforms. So, guys, what I'm doing is I'm going to break down that segment where I talked about the 5 fundamentals of throwing a proper football. And I'm going to put that here so it's easy for you guys to reference it. So that way you don't have to watch a full 20-minute video to get to that one little segment that you might want to reference or utilize on your own purposes. All right. So without further ado, let's get to that video.
Come with a blitz. Wentz has time, though. Throws behind.
Guys, there's 5 keys to throwing the perfect football. And you guys who have ever been to a quarterback camp, you know this. Number 1 is the ball carriage. Number 2 is the ball shelf. Number 3 is the base. Number 4 is your weight distribution. And then number 5 is just simply put is your posture, which is bringing it all together. Let's go through those things real quick, guys. That way you understand what we're saying. When you say ball carriage is the it's like the pre-arm motion before you bring your arm up to throw a football. And the easy way to think about it is if you're right-handed, right, 2 hands on the ball, if you're right-handed, it should be slightly tucked in towards you. It should be basically in front of your sternum, closer to the right breast area, your right pec, okay? If you're right-handed. If you're left-handed, it's the opposite, okay? So it's supposed to be like that. So from your ball carriage to your ball shelf is a movement that's very important to a quarterback, guys. So when you go to your ball shelf, now you're talking about the angle of your arm. Number 1, you never want to go down. If you go down, that's how quarterbacks get stripped. It's really bad mechanics when that happens to them. But number 2, it really messes with. This is when you hear guys like Patrick Mahomes and Carson Wentz and Lamar Jackson. They're like, oh, like they can throw from multiple arm angles. Guys, it's not a good thing. That means you have shitty mechanics. Okay? It just means you're getting away with it. Defenses will adjust and they're going to get you. You keep doing that. So basically what that is, guys, is going from the ball carriage to the shelf is basically wanting to keep your arm at a 90-degree angle. Not too far forward, not too far back. Never have the ball facing upward to the sky. Always at a little bit of an angle, okay? And then from there, it's a clean throwing motion. So when you're throwing, okay, it's a clean motion, and your non-throwing hand should be over your heart. We used to call it the Pledge of Allegiance, making sure you have the Pledge of Allegiance, okay? And then that gets into basically your base. Your base is really about how you stand, your foot placement. Basically, once you get back into that, you're stepping back and now you're getting into the carriage. You want your legs to be about shoulder width apart, not too far. Don't open your hips too much. Don't close them too much. Shoulder width apart, okay? Now you're talking about different tendencies of quarterbacks. I was a bouncer, guys. You might as well call me Tigger because I was bouncing. The other thing you'll see a lot of football players do is that they'll do what they call the gravel crush, right? The rapid movement of the feet. Guys, that's anxiety. It's nervous glitches, and it's really bad for mechanics. And sadly enough, there are a lot of youth coaches who teach this crap. That's not the way football is played. They don't know what the hell they're doing. From there, it's weight distribution. This is a really subjective area of the conversation, guys. But generally speaking, what it's talking about is keeping your weight on the back leg. Generally speaking, you'll hear people say, like, oh, it's 60% on your back leg and 40% on your front leg. It's just like swinging a golf club, right? It's where you balance your hips and your weight. Well, it's a similar concept. We're talking about weight distribution for a quarterback, guys. It's how they open it up, okay? And the last thing you need to know, guys, is what they call your posture is bringing that all together. You screw up anywhere in there, then your posture's off, right? So if you're in your base, right, and you start hunching forward or you hunch back, you got bad posture. Like the ball's going to be all over the place if you do that. Well, when you get into this part of like coming up into that weight distribution from the base to the weight distribution, basically, so you're going essentially from ball carriage, okay, ball carriage out to the ball shelf. What you're talking about now is what they call the toe tap, the shifting of your weight. So what we're basically talking about is the distribution of weight, that 60 to 40 mix, guys. So we're talking about getting your hips properly in the football game, in the mechanics of it, right? So when you toe tap on that toe tap, that's the dead giveaway that you're shifting your weight now. You should be at that 60 to 40. And I know it's very subjective, but it's easy to spot when you're not there. Because if you overset, then you look like a pitcher throwing a baseball to home plate. Because like you're gonna come and your whole body's gonna turn, and like you're gonna like fall forward like a pitcher. A quarterback should be kind of the proper placement is like they're coming, they're shifting that weight from the toe tap. So now they got that 60% of their force, right, on that back leg. So when they come up, you should really just see kind of the twisting of the hips, the release of the football, okay? And then you should see the back of the cleats, okay? Back of the cleats. You really don't want them to fall forward because then that tells us that your body position's now off. Like you're going to be inaccurate. When I look at Carson Wentz, what I see is a quarterback who, to be quite honest, is not in the right throwing motion. He's delayed, and in that delayment, you get flat-footed. Carson Wentz has a tendency to be very flat-footed at times.